It's the dead of night and Naruto has once again snuck out of his apartment through an underground tunnel he made under the floorboards in his room. Why was he traveling underground, you may ask? It's simple really. Naruto is secretly a professional MMA fighter. You might be wondering how he learned about MMA fighting. Well, so did the Hokage. Naruto had just made it to the underground fight club where his sensei Kurama, the nine-tailed fox in his human form, was waiting with a new batch of opponents for Naruto. And they were the Root Anbu Black Ops run by Danzo Shimura. Naruto then said, "Alright, let's get started. Either tell us what Danzo Shimura wants with me and Kurama. Or we fight. I kick your ass 7 ways to Sunday, then you answer my questions. Take your pick." And the Root Anbu Black Ops said, "Forget it. We'll never betray Lord Danzo Shimura. We'll fight." And Naruto said, "Okay, suit yourself. It's your hospital bill." Kurama raised the octagon barrier. Kurama then snapped his fingers and the 8 seals in the room activated and turned into a small cage. Naruto then got into his defensive fighting style and stretching out his arms and legs said, "Okay, let me see. 1.2.3.4.5.6.7, 7 of you and 1 of me. Show me what you got." 2 Anbu then rushed into the center of the ring and tried to tag team Naruto with an elbow jab and a leg sweep kick. Naruto then grabbed the arm of the Anbu behind him and flipped him over his shoulder and dislocated the Anbu entire arm. He then drop-kicked th Anbu in front of him over their leg and fractured it. Naruto then said, "You might want to start telling us what we want to know before I cripple you from the neck down. What do you say?" 3 more Anbu charged in after Naruto and he just grabbed them by their vests and spun them in a 360 degrees counter-attack. He then threw them into the mat and slammed his elbows and all of his body weight, which after working out endlessly for months was over 150 pounds of pure muscle. He heard the Anbu Black Ops spines crack and standing up said, "That's 5 of you down. Care to start talking now? Or do I have to cripple the 2 of you as well?" After seeing what Naruto just did to their comrades and said, we'll talk. Lord Danzo's been trying to trick the Hokage into letting him training you so he can brainwash you with his stolen Sharingan and implanted Mokuton DNA from the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. He would then control you and use you to overthrow the Hokage. He's already manipulated the civilian council into organizing the attacks on your birthday against you. That's all we know, we swear. In fact, there's an angry mob being assembled against you right now. You won't survive. The entire village is out for your blood for what you contain. Danzo's got the entire village convinced that you're the Nine Tails." And Naruto said, "Well, Kurama-sensei, looks like I'm going all out this time. What do you think? Kill or cripple?" And Kurama said, "Why not both? Cripple them and only kill them if the situation calls for it." And Naruto said with a sly grin on his face, "An excellent idea, sensei. Let's go." Naruto then left the 7 Root Anbu Black Ops to suffer as their friends dragged them back to Danzo's hideout. Naruto then exited in a dark alley with no other exit other than a sewer hole. He then cracked his knuckles and said, "I heard you're looking for me? You're still convinced I'm the Nine Tails? Sadly, you have been deceived by the council. The Nine Tails is standing there behind me. But he's not your target, I am. Who's first? Rest assured this is your last chance to turn back and go home before I cripple if not kill you all with my bare hands." One of the civilians holding a chain wrapped in wire said, "Ha ha ha, big talk for someone who is no threat to us. There's 1 of you and 20 of us. You're outnumbered, demon brat. Now die." The civilian then spun the chain around in a circle and whipped it at Naruto, who just reached out and grabbed the chain. He then pulled it towards him, sending the civilian flying at him. Naruto then channeled chakra to his fist and sent an uppercut punch to their stomach, and they coughed up some blood and fell to the ground and passed out. Naruto then threw the chain on the ground and stepped up to the crowd and said, "Alright, that was boring. Didn't I tell you that this was your only chance to walk away unharmed? Well, guess what? Now I'm gonna have to kill all of you." Naruto then vanished from view and Kurama just sat back as he let Naruto cut loose. 1 civilian and shinobi after another fell faster than they could get back up to retaliate. Naruto had knocked them back down. Watching all of this from a distance was the Hokage's personal Anbu Black Ops codenames Dog, Cat and Weasel. They were all surprised at how quickly and efficiently Naruto took them down. Weasel aka Itachi Uchiha. was shocked that Naruto was moving faster than the Sharingan could follow his movements. He then looked at Cat and Dog aka Kakashi and Yugo and said, "We must report this to the Hokage immediately. But my guess is that he is already aware of the situation. Perhaps we should assist in aiding his escape?" And Kakashi said, "Oh hell no, I'm not breaking up this fight. Let's place bets on who will win at the academy, Itachi. Naruto, or your brother Sasuke?" And Yugo said, "My money is on the blonde Gaki. Based on the fact that he's already beaten the entire angry mob." Take a look. Sure enough, there in the middle of the crowd was Naruto Uzumaki standing in a mess of crippled and beaten up civilians and shinobi. Naruto then said, "I know you are watching me. Neko Inu Weasel, show yourselves before I find you and break your bones." One by one, they were civilians and the shinobi were chunin at best. "Come out and fight me. I dare you." Kurama then stepped out of the shadows with the Hokage's personal Anbu Black Ops in hand and said, "You have probably figured out by now that I'm the nine-tailed fox in this human form. I'm not here to fight. Nor do I seek to destroy the village. I only wish to explain what happened the night Naruto was born and who was really behind me attacking Konoha. I've already told Naruto who his parents are. He's not pleased with the Hokage's lies either and wants everything his parents left him. Ah, speak of the old monkey. Here he is now. Hello Lord Third Hokage." Hiruzen Sarutobi then said, "Kyuubi, how did you escape the seal? Minato used the Shiki Fujin. It should be impossible for you to escape. No matter. My student Jiraiya is on his way back from a mission and I'll have him reseal you in Naruto and strengthen the seal so you can't escape again." Just then Hiruzen felt a fist buried in his stomach and the next thing he knew Naruto was standing next to him and said in his ear, "You will do no such thing to my sensei. Try it and I'll do to you what I did to the angry mob over there. Are we clear? But here's what you will do. You will give me everything my parents left me. Their house, their bank accounts and all their techniques they created over the years. Including the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. After all, I am the fourth Hokage's son, aren't I? And the last remaining heir to the Uzumaki and Namikaze Senju clans, right? Do this, and I'll consider forgetting all the lies you've told me about who my parents were. I don't give a damn about their enemies. Let the other Kage and Akatsuki organization come after me. I'll kill them too. And for the record, I can use wood release and swift release. I could easily kill even the highest level Anbu you have without any weapons using just my bare hands. Kurama-sensei is far better than any Junin-sensei you could give me. I also want the Rasengan and Forbidden Scroll of Seals that rightfully belongs to the Uzumaki clan and is the borrowed property of the Hidden Leaf Village. All of this you will hand over by this time tomorrow or I will take it from you by force if you refuse to do so." Naruto then removed his fist from the Hokage's stomach and Hiruzen fell to the ground on his knees. Kakashi then said, "Lord Hokage, are you alright? Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention?" And Hiruzen said, "I'm fine Kakashi. However, we have a much larger problem. Naruto has somehow freed the Nine Tails. And based on the amount of force he hit me with, was only meant as a warning. Any harder and he could have killed me. I fear what will happen when the Tsuchikage, the Raikage and the Kazekage and Mizukage get word of his existence. Ue is still out for blood after what Minato did to their forces in the Third Shinobi War. The Raikage would be after Naruto for the Nine Tails and possibly his bloodline ability to create chakra chains. The fighting style he used was a much older form of taijutsu I haven't seen since the first Hokage. Mixed martial arts. I'm already aware of the secret training he's been doing for the academy. But to think that the Kyuubi has been the one to train him? Perhaps Naruto was right. Perhaps we should listen to the Kurama's side of the story of what happened that night. Perhaps maybe then the council will see Naruto in a different light afterwards. He could definitely give our best taijutsu users a run for their money and I know just the people to help him with that. Kakashi, bring me Maida Guy and his Genin Rock Lee and Neji Hyuga. And if he chooses to learn Kenjutsu, bring me Tenten Higurashi as well." Yugo then said, "With all due respect, I would like to be his Kenjutsu instructor, Lord Hokage. His mother Kushina was like a sister to me and Sume Inuzuka. Let us train him, we owe it to them. To his parents to teach him how to master the arts of taijutsu and kenjutsu." Itachi then said, "I would also like to help with Naruto in his training. I could teach him how to control his chakra nature. I noticed he has a slight fire elemental affinity, but he's also got the wood release and swift release. Such a combination of bloodlines should be closely guarded. Don't you think? Kakashi then said. Minato was my sensei. Naruto has a wind and lightning element. I could help his lightning element, but as for the wind element, I don't have any knowledge of that. Perhaps your son Asuma could help. Hiruzen then said. You all make valid points, and I shall take your requests into consideration. However, there's never been a genin team with more than one Junin sensei. I must talk with the village council and see what happens from there. The clans will obviously want to train Naruto as well. Sigh. This is as Shikaku Nara would say. Very troublesome. I'm definitely going to need a drink after this. And sure enough, the moment that Hiruzen got back to his office, he pulled out a bottle of wine and filled up his cup and just kept drinking until he passed out on his desk an hour later. Jiraiya then showed up at that same time and said, Well, sensei, I never thought you would be interested in drinking like Tsunadeheim. What happened to you today that would cause you to do this? And Hiruzen said, Naruto. He's being trained by the nine-tailed fox. And he's mastered the MMA fighting style. The same fighting style as the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. He wants everything his parents left him. Jiraiya. That includes you. As of today, you will be staying in the Namikaze Uzumaki clan compound with Naruto. I will also send a messenger monkey summons to inform Tsunade that her grandson is alive and well. She will also be living with you and Orochimaru, who will also return to the village. The three of you will be his private tutors in ninjutsu, medical ninjutsu, genjutsu, kenjutsu, and fuinjutsu. He's already displayed exceptional skills in taijutsu that could easily outclass Maeda Guy and his genin Rock Lee and Neji Hyuga. It also rivals that of the Uchiha and Hyuga clan. Don't piss him off, Jiraiya. This is what he did to me after Kurama told him about his parents and that I lied to him about them. Hiruzen then lifted his shirt to reveal a large fist-shaped handprint in his stomach and rib cage areas after removing the bandages, and Jiraiya's jaws dropped to the floor as he said, Naruto did that to you, old man. He could have killed you. And Hiruzen said after putting his bandages and shirt back on, Yes, Jiraiya. Had he punched me any harder than he did, and he most likely would have been able to kill me. Only Tsunade's ever come that close to killing someone. So you now see why you must be honest with him at all times. You're forbidden from going anywhere near the woman's hot springs. Your spy network shall be put on hold until further notice. And you are forbidden by official order of the Hokage to sell any more of your books within Konoha. Failure to comply with these terms with which you have been given shall result in your demotion to the rank of genin. And forced to take the Chunin exams all over again. Ami understood. This isn't up for discussion. You have neglected your duties as Naruto's godfather for too long now. The title of godfather practically made you a part of Minato and Kushina's family clans. You disgrace their memories by not staying for Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. And it's time both you and Tsunade took up your mantles as Naruto's family for once. No acceptions. Now Jiraiya knew that his sensei was drinking and raised his voice at the white-haired pervert, which hasn't happened since he was a genin. Jiraiya then said, Fine. Where is the kid now? I'll take him to his parents' home and get all his things moved in. Tsunade won't be happy that you are threatening to make her a missing nin if she doesn't return to the village within a month before Naruto starts the academy. And Hiruzen said, That may be so, Jiraiya. But you know as well as I do that she's not going to listen to anyone else for any other reason besides that. And if I send her a copy of the blood test results from Naruto's last checkup, which I cross-referenced to Minato Namikaze Kushina Uzumaki and her own, the test came up positive, Jiraiya. Minato was the child of Tsunade Senju and Dan Kato. Her current apprentice Shizune Kato is Naruto's great-aunt, Mito Uzumaki, the first and second Hokages. His great-great-grandfather, great-great-granduncle, and great-great-grandmother. Now do you see how important it is to inform Tsunade that she returns immediately? Jiraiya knew now that since Naruto was related to the first, second, and fourth Hokage and their wives, and Tsunade's apprentice, things had gotten far more serious than he would have imagined. Jiraiya then said, For your sake, I hope this plan of yours actually works. I don't want to be anywhere near Tsunade when she tries to break every bone in your body. Heal you, and then repeatedly do the same process over and over and over again and again and again, sensei. You better pray to Kami, she's half sober and half drunk at the same time, otherwise you'll be having an early death. Hiruzen then said, you don't have to keep reminding me, Jiraiya. I have a plan, trust me. And so with Jiraiya forced to stay in the village for Naruto and requesting Orochimaru returned from the Hidden Sound village and Tsunade soon after. Life for Naruto would begin to start looking up for him. Or would it be getting far worse? Only time would tell. Time that wasn't on the legendary Sannin Tsunade's side. Tsunade and Orochimaru had just made it back to their former village of Konoha. Well, Orochimaru's former village, that is. Tsunade just didn't want to come back because of her bad memories and all the family she's lost to this accursed village. But apparently her sensei sent her a messenger monkey, saying that she's got a grandson with the Mokuton. That word really bothered her. That just meant that she still had family in Konoha, and the fact that it's her cousin Kushina's son Naruto. Oh, there would be hell to pay for not telling her sooner. But what scared her the most wasn't that he had would release. No. What frightened her and Orochimaru was his fighting style of choice. The infamous MMA fighting style of her grandfather Hashirama Senju, and that he was being trained in the art by the Nine Tails sent shivers down her spine, and she said, I seriously hope he doesn't hate me for abandoning him, will he? And Orochimaru said, don't worry, Tsunade, if he's as dangerous with his taijutsu as Sarutobi sensei claims. Jiraiya and I have your back like we always have. I'm sure he's not that angry at the two of you. I was forced out of the village before he was born. It's a shame, really. Minato used to be the most smartest Hokage who ever lived, only for him and Kushina to sacrifice themselves with the Reaper Death Seal for this rotten, corrupted, greedy, power-hungry village. If what Jiraiya has told me with his messenger toad is true, Sensei has finally grown a backbone and put the council and Jiraiya in their place. Danzo's been tried and found guilty of military treason and kidnapping orphans and is awaiting execution in 24 hours. The civilian council was suspended until further notice, and the shinobi council was forced to grow a backbone and do something useful for Naruto for once. Hiashi's been more kind and generous towards his eldest daughter Hinata. The girl's confidence has improved greatly since then. Just then all too familiar screams of pain and agony were heard flying towards them, and Orochimaru said, did you hear that, Tsunade? It sounds like Jiraiya got punched through the air again. But I thought only you were strong enough to do that. And Tsunade said, I am, or at least I thought I was. Jiraiya then said as he landed in front of his old teammates. Tsunade, Orochimaru, save me, hide me, do something. I don't want to have my balls forcibly removed by way of kenjutsu. Please save me. I don't want to be the blonde beast's newest punching bag. Just then Tsunade and Orochimaru heard Naruto shouting and said, get back here, you lousy good-for-nothing perverted godfather. Come back here so I can show you what real pain is. What it's like to truly suffer. I'm gonna kill you for your neglected care of me. You and that busty teammate the old man calls my grandma. Where are you, Grandma Tsunade, so I can pummel you into the ground? Show yourself now. Orochimaru then said, scratch that time. The boy's furious with the two of you. And I've learned from being around you that an angry Uzumaki is a dangerous Uzumaki. Good luck. Tsunade then said, Orochimaru, you coward. I thought you said you were going to have our backs. The kid wants me to fight. Fine, let's fight. He's just a 9-year-old. How strong could he really be? And Jiraiya said, just you wait and see for yourself, Haim. He's so strong. He almost killed Sarutobi sensei. Tsunade's eyes went wide with fear as she then realized just how screwed they were and said, Jiraiya. Whatever happens happens. I just wanted to let you know that I always did love you. If we survive this, I'll definitely go out with you for a drink on a date, if we're not dead first. Naruto then showed up with blinding speed and said as his fists were coated in wood release like boxing gloves. He then said, there you two are, ready for your punishment for neglecting my care. Tsunade took one look at Naruto, who didn't have a shirt on, and noticed how well-toned and muscular he was, and in that moment she could say only 5 words. We're so dead right now. Naruto then rushed towards Tsunade faster than she could get her guard up and sent a left uppercut to her lower jaw and sent her flying backwards. She hit the tree wall behind her and got back on her feet, and once again Naruto rushed towards Tsunade with blinding speed. Tsunade was prepared this time and kept her guard up. Naruto then came down with a flying axe kick, and Tsunade actually felt her left femur fracture and a black and blue bruise with some swelling, and screaming out in pain said, "Ah, damn it brat, we know you're angry with us, but go easy on the beat down will you? I may be able to heal myself almost as fast as I can get injured, but I'm not a damn Jinchuriki. I don't have a tailed beast to always heal my injuries, you know." Naruto didn't care how badly he injured his grandma. Or his perverted godfather for that matter. If anything, he was enjoying inflicting pain on them. Naruto then went in for a double hit to the stomach and knocked the wind out of Tsunade. Naruto was too fast, and she only had one good arm to protect her from Naruto and his brutal attacks. Jiraiya could barely stand, and Orochimaru was nowhere to be found. Naruto then continued to use Tsunade like a punching bag, giving her a matching pair of black eyes, a bloody lip, dislocated shoulder, and fractured rib cage. When Naruto was done venting his anger on the two people who should have been caring for him for the last 9 years, he cancelled what he called his wood style Bone Crusher Gloves Jutsu and walked away. He then said, "I hope you both learned what happens when you piss me off after 9 years of neglected care of me. Don't make me angry ever again, or I just might not hold back next time." Tsunade then said, "You were holding back? I feel like I just had Gamabunta dropped on my head. We weren't aware that you survived the sealing ritual. I'm sore, Rai. Ru, too. We should have stayed." And Naruto just looked at Jiraiya and Tsunade and said, "That's right. You should have stayed, but you didn't. Even worse, you put your own selfish desires before your own family. You have 9 years of neglecting to make up for. Consider this the first. That just leaves 8 years left to go to make up for. And it starts with my genjutsu and medical ninjutsu training." Naruto vanished in a swirl of burning leaves and hot air back to the house that his parents left him when they died. Tsunade and Jiraiya then passed out afterwards, and Orochimaru said to his second-in-command Kabuto Yakushi, "HM. The boy's potential is quite the sight to see, don't you think, Kabuto? Please do me a favor and heal Tsunade while I check to make sure Jiraiya is still breathing." And Kabuto said, "Yes, Lord Orochimaru, right away." Orochimaru then checked on Jiraiya and found that he still had a pulse, but it was very weak. They needed medical treatment fast, and Kabuto and Shizune could only do so much medical ninjutsu treatment. Tsunade was constantly screaming in pain as Kabuto was popping all of her joints and bones back into place and healing her internal injuries. Once Shizune and Kabuto were done with Tsunade, they began to work on Jiraiya, and once the three of them slowly made it to Hirizen's office. Well, let's just say that Hirizen wasn't surprised at how badly Naruto had beaten them to a bloody pulp. Jiraiya and Tsunade knew what they were in for, and they were already beginning to think that maybe they should start making amends as soon as Naruto finished his first week of the academy. They just hoped that for their sake, Naruto could keep that temper of his under control. It frightened them both to know how much he may look like Minato but acted more like his mother Kushina. Kami willing. They had a lot of time to make up for, and they were going to do everything they could to make Naruto trust them. After all, that's what family was for, right? If they only knew how big a surprise they were in for when they saw Kyuubi's free from the seal. All hell would break loose in the Uzumaki Namikaze clan compound. When Tsunade and Jiraiya were admitted into the hospital, all the nurses and doctors were wondering who or what could have been able to put them in such a critical condition that nearly every single bone in their bodies were either fractured, splintered, or broken and needed surgery. When Tsunade, the legendary medical ninja of the Sannin Tsunade, was asked who did this and why, she said one name that immediately struck fear into all of the hospital staff's hearts. Tsunade then said the name of the person who beat them bloody. Naruto. Uzumaki. Those two words were all that the doctors needed to know, just to know that anyone who's gotten used as a punching bag for that kid almost never survived their surgery and dies a week later. The way in which he cripples his enemies would put even the Green Beast made a guy in the hospital for a few months. Which he did in fact. And the reason was that Hirizen wanted to see just how powerful Naruto's MMA fighting style truly was. And what he watched through his crystal ball frightened him. Flashback 1 week ago. A knock was heard on the office door of the Hokage as the Hokage said, "You may enter with your genin. Maida Guy. And please don't speak a single word about the power of youth, as I'm too old for hearing such annoying things." And Maida Guy said, "Very well, Lord Hokage. Now what is it that you requested for me and my two taijutsu prodigies here? Is it a mission?" And Hiruzen said, "Sort of, but not exactly. You see, Naruto Uzumaki has been learning a form of taijutsu not seen since the first Hokage. He's actually mastered it. What I need to know is how far he's mastered it." And Guy asked, "And just what, may I ask, is this taijutsu art? Surely it's not stronger than the heavy fist or gentle fist taijutsu styles." And Hiruzen said, "Indeed, I shall tell you. But as a taijutsu specialist, I'm expecting you and your students to keep this secret from everyone else. You are to fight Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and observe what level his mixed martial arts fighting style is at. Then report to me and give me a full debrief. You will all be paid for a C-rank mission." Dismissed. Hearing those words, mixed martial arts, Guy was all too familiar with the art and knew how strong it was in the right hands. It's what he's practically based his taijutsu styles off of. He then looked at Lee and Neji and said, "Lee, Neji, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You're not yet strong enough physically to go against the MMA fighting style. Before you decide to brag about how fate and destiny are a part of life or how you're eager to face such a thing as that, you're not ready at all. The MMA fighting style is a combination of precise speed, strength, agility and endurance. All of which Naruto has. I will fight him and you are to observe and report to the Hokage everything you've seen. In no way whatsoever do you participate in the fight, even if I'm defenseless and my bones broken. You don't engage. Am I clear?" Noticing that their sensei was serious about this, they just did as told, and Lee said, "Yes, Guy sensei, we understand fully. May the powers of youth guide you." And so after searching for Naruto for a full hour, they found him, and Guy said, "Naruto Uzumaki, my students are eager to see you fight me in a one-on-one match to test your MMA fighter skills. Just name the time and place and we'll be there." And Naruto said, "How about right now? I have a secret training ground of my own hidden under my apartment. Beneath my floorboards in my bedroom there's a tunnel. Follow that tunnel straight down to the end. When you reach the end you will see an open room with 8 seals on each corner of the walls. That's where I will be waiting. See you there tonight. Oh, and keep all of what I just told you a secret, okay? Wouldn't want anyone else to know that I run my own underground MMA fighting organization now, would we? After all, I only choose the best of the best to fight me in the octagon arena. By day I act like an idiot to hide my true skills. Then by night, I'm known to all as the blonde beast of Konoha. Dozens of times have fought people with whom use weapons. And I beat them using only my bare hands. Like you, I prefer the misunderstood art of taijutsu over ninjutsu and genjutsu. I find it more fun to test my strength against others' strength. Big or small." And so night had fallen in. Many hours later, Maida Guy had multiple fractured ribs, a dislocated collarbone, a fractured knee, 2 black eyes, a broken nose, minor hairline, skull fractures and a dislocated lower jaw. When Lee and Neji brought their sensei to the hospital and explained who he fought against, the nurses and doctors knew that they were going to have a full hospital on just the first floor alone if the body counts increase. Lee and Neji gave a full debrief on how skilled Naruto was, and when Neji of all people said that even he would have trouble beating Naruto, the Hokage knew that he was looking at the first Hokage and Madara Uchiha incarnate. Flashback to the present day. So now you all see my dilemma, civilian council. If you do not stop these random fox hunts of yours, you will never step foot in this room or this village ever again. He is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the 4th Hokage and Kushina Uzumaki, not the Kyuubi. You will hand over the deed to Minato and Kushina's estate and their bank account numbers, or so help me Kami. Naruto promised he would find you and hospitalize you for life. I don't think I have to remind you what Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze did to the last angry mob you sent after him, do I?" The civilian council just gulped, remembering the condition that the 10 armed civilians and shinobi were in after Naruto beat and hospitalized them permanently. They then talked it over with each other, and Mebuki Haruno said, "Lord Hokage, because we now realized our mistake, and considering what you said he did to Maida Guy, Lord Jiraiya and Lady Tsunade, We are giving Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze everything his parents left him. We'll also advise our children to be more respectful towards the 4th Hokage's son and heir to the Uzumaki and Senju clans. Hiruzen then banged his gavel on the table and said, "Then this meeting is dismissed. You're all free to go. Except for the clan heads and my 2 remaining advisors. You will all stay behind. I have assignments for each of you." The entire civilian council left, and when they were gone the only people left were the Shinobi Council and Hokage's advisors. Hiruzen then said, "As you know, and as I have already told you all, I brought back Tsunade and Jiraiya because they're his closest family to Minato and Kushina. Naruto has the wood release, making him a Senju, which makes him Tsunade's grandson since Minato was her son. Minato didn't have wood release because, as you know, bloodline abilities can sometimes skip a generation. Hiashi, your daughter Hinata has a crush on Naruto, correct?" And Hiashi said, "Yes, she does. And I don't approve of the habit because it's a show of weakness." And Hiruzen said, "Then you heavily underestimate your own daughter. Her love for Naruto isn't her greatest weakness. It's what motivates her to become stronger, making it her greatest strength to earn your approval and acknowledge her for once. You think I'm unaware what your clan elders do with the caged bird seal? You think I don't know that you're enslaving your own family with it and call it a tradition? I'm well aware of the laws of the Hyuga clan and how they think themselves better than me because I'm old. Well, I may be old, but I'm not stupid. Which is why as of today, the caged bird seal is to be removed from every single branch member of the Hyuga clan. The seal shall then be returned to the Uzumaki clan. Tsunade, being the current head of both Senju and Uzumaki clan, shall retake possession of the seal since its design is of Uzumaki clan origin. You have been forcing a seal that was never rightfully yours to begin with upon your own family. Which, may I add, if Tsunade found this out, could result in life in prison for theft of another clan's techniques. The entire Hyuga clan, I might add. More specifically the entire main house family. Which would sadly include your daughters Hinata and Hanabi Hyuga. You would still be a family. You would just be one in prison. Do you have any objections to this, or shall I have the Anbu arrest you and your entire main house family and clan elders for stealing from Naruto and Tsunade's clan? You must choose now, since this would mean that Hinata would be removed from the shinobi program as an academy student. She would never become a shinobi. Or Hanabi for that matter. Hiashi didn't know what to do right now. On one hand, he would have to get rid of what has been tradition for years in the Hyuga clan. But on the other hand, his reputation and his 2 daughters' futures would be ruined. He was just backed into checkmate in a game of shogi, and he knows what will happen if he refused. He had no other choice but to have the caged bird seal removed. Starting with Neji's, and then the rest of the branch house family. Hiashi then said, "I shall do this, Lord Hokage. But allow me to have my clan elders arrested since they are the cause of the enslaving of the branch house family. Allow a group of Anbu Black Ops to do it, quietly. Before the blonde beast of Konoha finds out and cripples or worse. Hates Hinata for their actions. If he's as good as Neji's told me, I fear what my daughter will do to herself if he constantly rejected her love for him. Please, Lord Hokage, I beg you to be merciful. If anyone is to blame, it's me. I shall reform the clan's traditional ways to a more modern-day approach. One that doesn't involve enslaving your own family. Perhaps change is necessary for the betterment of the current generation, don't you agree, my fellow shinobi council members?" And Shikaku Nara said, "It's troublesome, but I'd have to agree with you, Hiashi. Perhaps the Nara clan could be less lazy and put more effort into things like commitment to their wives. All this because of Naruto. All this because he's already filled up half the first floor of the hospital." Fine. The Nara clan agrees to change their ways. Sume Inuzuka said, "You don't have to worry about my clan changing their ways, Lord Hokage. Because I learned a long time ago that the older traditional ways were flawed, so I put it to a clan vote and they all knew change was needed for the next generation of Inuzukas." Choza Akamichi then said, "The Akamichi clan has no reason to change our current tradition unless it involves our son marrying an outsider from another village or clan into our own clan. Otherwise, all our other tradition have already been changed, Lord Hokage." Hiruzen then said, "And what about you, Shibi Aburame? Will you vote yes or no for the clans to change their old ways for the new generation? Rest assured, it would benefit the way people see you differently if you did. You wouldn't be feared or worse. rejected by others. Perhaps teaching about the benefits of the insects you use rather than fearing other people's opinions of you would be better. Don't you think? And Shibi Aburame said, "You prove many good points, Lord Hokage. My clan is looked down upon by others because like Naruto we only contain what we may or may not yet fully understand the capabilities of and how to fully control them. Other than suppressing our emotions, that is. So logically speaking, I believe that sharing our knowledge with others about the many different insects and benefits they have could change the village's opinion of us. The Aburame clan is in agreement with the other clans to change the old ways of doing things." Hiruzen then said, "And what about you, Inoichi, Fugaku? Will you change your mind about how your clan elders run things and make your own decisions on what is happening with your clan? From what I've heard, your clan is planning a revolution against the village because you're not being given recognition as one of the founding clans of the Hidden Leaf Village anymore and you only wish to be reintegrated into society, am I correct?" And Fugaku Uchiha said, "Yes, Lord Hokage. My clan has grown prideful and boastful in our Sharingan abilities. My wife and I have been talking and we want to make sure that Itachi and Sasuke don't get involved. We would have to have Itachi kill his own family and friends from the Uchiha clan for the safety of the Hidden Leaf Village. We shall testify here and now. As I say that our clan is growing more corrupted, greedy and power-hungry every day. My clan council elders are the masterminds behind it all. Kill them but spare the rest of the clan. We will do whatever you want in exchange for this." Hiruzen then gave it some thought and said, "Very well then, your request to be reintegrated into society shall be granted. In exchange for this you shall receive equal treatment from the other clans and watch over Naruto. He's far faster and stronger than you should give him credit for. Strong enough to possibly kill me with his bare hands should you anger him enough. He's also somehow freed the Nine Tails Kurama, and has grown attached to him as student and teacher. I'm afraid if you want to meet Naruto, you must also meet the Nine Tails in human form. He's just as strong in human form as he is in tailed beast form. Inoichi Yamanaka, will you agree to the proposal to change the clan's older traditional ways to a more modern-day approach for the current generation of shinobi?" And Inoichi said, "I have no issues with changing my clan's traditional ways to a more modern approach. My wife has been begging me to do it for quite some time now and I have to admit I didn't want to at first, but now that you have brought it up and are ordering us to change, I have no choice but to agree, I'm afraid." Yes, the Yamanaka clan agrees to change our traditional ways. And Hiruzen said, "Very good. Now for your assignment, Koharu and Homura. I want you to oversee all the academy curriculums and make a full review on what you believe must be changed and what needs improvement. Tobarama and Hashirama sensei would be disappointed in how low we let the academy graduation requirements fall. It's time to get the academy back to the way it used to be. Every aspect of the shinobi arts will be taught, including seals and kenjutsu, although those courses will be made optional next semester. And if I know Naruto, he's already efficient in both by now. He's far too smart to be playing dumb. Sigh, I really wish that boy would put more effort into his studies. He's got so much untapped potential like his parents, but he's been lacking the motivation to show it. Perhaps, yes, that just might work. If the three of us could change the teacher's opinion of Naruto, then maybe he would do better. I've always suspected his grades were being sabotaged because he holds the Nine Tails. It's time to pull out the weeds of corruption that have plagued the lush green garden that is Konoha Academy. Find the teachers who are traitors and bring them to me." This second meeting of shinobi affairs is dismissed. This was a first for the council and Hokage's advisors. But at the same time they were glad that Hiruzen was finally growing a backbone and taking back the village council. The clan heads and Hokage's advisors then left to complete the assignments that they were given, and what Sarutobi had found out disappointed him. Making it easier for civilians to become shinobi by performing the simplest and quite possibly most useless ninjutsu that never get used in a real-world scenario to pass. It made him wonder who the hell on the civilian council was responsible for this bull crap. Though he had a pretty good idea of who it was, he just needed proof of it first. As for the clans, well, you could say that Hiashi's finally decided to act like a real clan leader and took charge of the Elders' Council. When the Hyuga clan elders saw him show up with the Anbu Black Ops, they already knew what was going on. They were being arrested for enslavement of their own family and theft of another clan's sealing technique. One of the elders then said, "Hiashi, what's the meaning of this? Why aren't you stopping the Anbu from arresting us? And Hiyashi said, Hyuga elders of the Hyuga clan and Hidden Leaf. As clan head and by order of the Hokage. You're hereby under arrest for slavery of our own clan and the theft of a sealing technique that belonged to the Uzumaki clan and as such will be returned to its original owners the Uzumaki and Senju clans. And will be removed from the entire branch house family. No longer are we a house divided. After today, we shall be a house united as equals. Anbu, take them away. Hiyashi then walked over to Neji and said, Neji, please remove your bandages. I'm going to remove your caged bird seal and let you become the best Byakugan user possible. You could thank Naruto for the changes being made. From this day forward, the main and branch house families will train together and share each other's techniques with each other. I now realize what my brother had been trying to tell me about setting a caged bird free. If we treat each other like equals, then we have no reason to lie or keep secrets from our own family. After I remove the caged bird seal from your forehead I will tell you what the reason for your father's sacrifice was truly for. Perhaps then we could be a proper family again like we used to be. Neji couldn't believe it. It was actually happening. The branch house family was finally going to be treated as equals by the main house family. Neji would have to thank Naruto for his uncle's new changes to the clan. And he would also be more respectful towards his cousin Hinata and help her with her Byakugan and Taijutsu training. If her motivation to become stronger was Naruto, then protecting her and helping her achieve those results would be his motivation for changing his destiny. Things were looking up for the better in Konoha. But as for Naruto, he still craved the strongest fighters imaginable and if his godfather and grandmother weren't even so much as making him break a sweat, then that just left Orochimaru sadly he broken almost every bone in his body as well had Orochimaru not healed himself by using his snake skin shedding technique. Without it he would have been in the hospital with his teammates. Eventually Orochimaru's chakra ran out and knew Naruto was holding back his true skills for a reason. He just didn't know what that reason was. When Hiruzen visited his two former students in the hospital and saw the condition they were in, he was speechless to think that Naruto just might be the next best taijutsu master of the Hidden Leaf. However he was disappointed that he didn't even let Tsunade and Jiraiya explain their own reasons for leaving him. But the way he's treated at the academy would soon change as well. Naruto would soon get the attention and inheritance he both wanted and deserves. But the main question Hiruzen kept asking himself was, would Naruto accept the fact he was being acknowledged out of fear and not his accomplishments? Or would he just keep playing stupid like he always has until graduation exams came around and show his true potential? Hiruzen knew Naruto craves attention but he also knows that too much attention, and Naruto would kill a person just to get away from the attention itself. Naruto once again snuck out of his apartment through the tunnel underneath his bedroom floorboards and down the tunnel that leads to his secret training room. He then bowed before his sensei Kurama and said, "Greetings sensei, who will be my challenger for today and what will I be learning from it?" And Kurama said, "We are not going to do anything related to training today my young student. It's your birthday tonight if I'm not mistaken and the seals still prevent the Hokage from finding this unknown training room of ours. Which is good, the less who knows about it the better." Back with Hiruzen at the hospital. Hiruzen took one look at Jiraiya and Tsunade and then he looks at their medical charts and said, "Let me guess. You two idiots did the one thing to Naruto that I heavily advised you not to do. You found some way of pissing him off didn't you? Sigh, I should have expected as much. You two were never the brightest of my students. However, I can't believe the more severe injuries he gave you Tsunade. I thought being an expert medical ninja you would try healing your own injuries." And Tsunade said, "Yeah, I would have, if they were just cuts and minor ones but what he's doing is breaking entire skeletal structures sensei. He's just like Kushina, only far scarier, and you want us to care for him. Are you nuts? Naruto doesn't need someone to take care of him. He needs someone strong enough to match his taijutsu skills. That's not Kushina and Minato's son. That's Madara Uchiha and the first Hokage incarnate. Nobody will be able to stop him without wearing steel armor. Good luck with Orochimaru taking care of Naruto either. That slimy coward ran the moment he saw what Naruto did to Jiraiya." And Hiruzen said, "Ah yes, Orochimaru told me he's had a near-death experience from Naruto had he not used his snake art. Skin shedding technique. HM. I'm sure you will find a way to make things right with Naruto over the next 8 years. Good luck with your recovering from all the injuries as Naruto's punching bag. I warned you about making him angry, and this is what you get for not listening. Hiruzen then left the hospital, and as he did he met Kurama and said, "You have trained Naruto well, Kurama Kitsune. A little too well in fact. He needs to control that temper of his or he may just kill someone else by accident. What are you doing here anyway?" And Kurama said, "Naruto and I share a bond as student and teacher. What I want is to be made his Junin sensei. Face it, old man, you know that there's no way any one of the Anbu candidates or otherwise could keep him under control. You need someone he's close to. Someone who is closer to him than even you. I'm that person. I let him know who is the student and who is the teacher. He listens to me. He won't take orders from another person. Not even those prized students of yours are a match for him, and you know it." Hiruzen couldn't argue with the fact that Kurama was right. Naruto was like an explosive set of kunai ready to go off at any second. The fox. Kurama is the one person Naruto would probably listen to. This wouldn't sit well with the Anbu who wanted to train him. Especially Kakashi. Sadly, he was out of options and said, "Fine, I'll make sure that you are his sensei as a Junin sensei. I have just one question to ask you in exchange. How did Naruto free you from the seal without him dying? Did you teach him how to use Fuinjutsu already? And what level is he?" And Kurama said, "Remember how I said we have a connection? Well, he's my summoner, and I am one of his summons. The boss summons of the Kitsune. He didn't have to make a deal with me, I gave him my power to unlock his wood release willingly. He's a Jinchuriki with the power and skills of the first Hokage. A very fearsome combination, don't you think?" And Hiruzen asked, "Can all Jinchuriki summon their tailed beasts? Or is Naruto the exception in this case? I must know what the plan is for Naruto if he decides to use your chakra in battle." And Kurama said, "You have no need to get worked up about my chakra corrupting his mind or body. We've already trained in chakra control. Did you know because Minato Namikaze used the Reaper Death Seal, Naruto's chakra and my own are fusing with each other? The seal is slowly filtering my chakra into his own, making it much harder to perform the standard clone jutsu and would have to learn how to use the shadow clone jutsu instead. Since his chakra and mine act as a primary and backup, his chakra levels, with enough training, could become near infinite. At this point you might as well just make him the youngest Anbu Black Ops member to be at the level of Genin. He has motivation to do anything he sets his mind to. You just need to get him to tell you what the things that motivates him are. And it's not becoming Hokage. He wants to make his own path to greatness. Do things his own way, not the way others expect him to be." And Hiruzen said, "So what you're saying is that you are a summons. Naruto holds your contract. His chakra levels exceed even my own. Because Minato underestimated the powers of the Reaper Death Seal? And that because it's filtered your own chakra with his own. He's basically close to the level of a god? And that you helped him unlock the Mokuton bloodline and chakra chains of the Senju and Uzumaki clan?" And Kurama said, "To put it lightly, yes I did. Although I did not expect him to have the Mokuton bloodline, he's always had a natural ability to unlock his chakra chains. He just needed the proper motivation to train hard enough to do it. I gave him that motivation by telling him that I would teach him how to do it, and in exchange I would give him all of my chakra and abilities to use as he pleased in controlled amounts. I've been having him working on his emotional control, but there seems to be a contributing factor in the progress I've seen him making." And Hiruzen asked, "And just what exactly is that contributing factor?" And Kurama just said one word that sent fear down Hiruzen's spine. "The contributing factor is revenge. He wants to be strong enough to kill the man who controlled me, forced me to attack the Hidden Leaf Village, and then forced his parents to use the Reaper Death Seal on me to seal me into him as an infant. He wants the head of the fake Madara Uchiha. Obito Uchiha isn't dead, but the real Madara Uchiha is. He wants to avenge his parents' deaths. That's his motivation, nothing else, not my influence. Not the insults and beatings he used to receive from the villagers. Revenge is and always will be the only thing motivating his desire to become stronger. No matter who or what gets in his way. Ironic, isn't it? The Uchihas have been cursed with hate throughout the generations. And now this is the first time an Uzumaki has ever sought out revenge. Your lack of encouragement and spending time with him has led to this. Your inability to stop those responsible until recently even more so. Lying to a child about why he's hated and who his parents are. Even I would never do such a thing. I must check on Naruto. Goodbye. Kurama then vanished in a swirl of red smoke and chakra and left Hiruzen to contemplate everything he's just been told. To think that all Naruto wanted was to become stronger so he could avenge his parents. To think that lying to the poor boy all these years about his parents and why he's hated would lead to this. He needed to find out what really happened that night. And from what Kurama said, seems to be only the half of the story. And he knows that Naruto wasn't going to tell him anything. He needed to find someone who can reason with Naruto. Someone who can show him revenge is never the right path to take. If anything, he was worried that Naruto would go down the same path as Madara Uchiha. A very very dark path that would not end well. He needed to consult with Inoichi Yamanaka to see just how bad Naruto's mental state was. He just hoped to Kami that he's not beyond saving. It's finally graduation day and everyone was awaiting to see this sparring match all year. It's Sasuke Uchiha versus what everyone else believed to be a dead last failure. Sadly, the Anbu Black Ops and Hokage knew otherwise. They knew all too well that this match would end with only one winner. Naruto. Naruto was dressed in an orange jacket and shorts and most of the time he never took it off. He also had bandages similar to the ones Lee wore, but instead of training weights he wore gravity seals on his body. Naruto then said to Sasuke, "You know what, Sasuke? I'll give you one chance right now to forfeit the match and spare you a humiliating defeat. What do you think? Care to surrender?" And Sasuke said, "Yeah right, loser. You couldn't lay a hand on me all year and you have always gotten beat by me. What's changed that makes things different this time?" And Naruto said, "First let me take my jacket and sandals off. Second, I'm going to release the gravity seals I'm wearing right now. Then the real fun begins." Sadly, Sasuke, as much as he tried to win taking the course on the art of seals, couldn't understand one bit of it. So to find out that Naruto knew something he doesn't made him furious. Naruto took off his jacket and immediately all the girls in the class watching had hearts in their eyes and drooling over Naruto's well-toned muscles and six-pack abs. He then put on his fingerless gloves bent at the knees, put one foot behind the other. Rock Lee and Neji remembered that stance. It's the same style that Naruto beat their sensei with. Naruto then had his left arm extended in front of him and right arm at his side with a closed fist and his front-facing hand open with his palm outward. Iruka gave the signal to begin the match and Sasuke went in with a quick uppercut hoping to disorient Naruto. Naruto flipped backwards into a double bicycle kick, knocking Sasuke back a few feet away from him, almost out of the ring. Naruto then stood on one hand with his legs straight up in the air. Sasuke then said, "What the hell kind of technique was that, loser? I demand to know so I can learn it myself." And Naruto said, "Sorry Uchiha, but you can't learn it. Because of two reasons. 1. It's a Senju clan fighting style, which is one of the clans I'm a part of. 2. Your body wouldn't be able to handle the stress it puts on your body. In other words, you're too weak to even attempt this fighting style." Sasuke was now outraged. How dare Naruto call him weak? He would just have to prove Naruto wrong. Meanwhile Naruto was just waiting there doing one-handed push-ups switching between hands, which all the girls found even more attractive. So much to the point where Naruto looked at only one girl by accident, of course, and that girl was Hinata Hyuga. She passed out after Naruto winked at all the girls. But she knew it was directed at her. Sasuke then rushed towards Naruto hoping to knock him off his balance, but Naruto used his entire hand like a springboard and launched himself upright in the air. He then gave Sasuke a mid-air roundhouse kick to the face, sending him backwards and giving him a black eye. Naruto then landed back in the same fighting stance as before and said, "Give up Uchiha. You can't win without your Sharingan, which if I'm not mistaken you have not unlocked yet. Give up on this fight before I severely injure and hospitalize you." Iruka-sensei, if Sasuke doesn't give up within the third hit, he's disqualified and failed this portion of the exams, correct? And Iruka said, "Yes Naruto, that's correct. You must be able to hit your opponent at least 3 times or knock them out of the ring to win." "Why?" And Naruto said, "Because this match is already over. Take a look. Sasuke can barely focus, let alone stand up. If I hit him one more time, he won't be able to make it out of the hospital. Alive, that is. But I'm feeling merciful, so I'll let you decide when to end the fight. Iruka took one look at Sasuke and noticed he was off balance. His visit was blurred from the black eye he had, and as Naruto said, he could barely stand up and continue fighting. Iruka then said, "I'm sorry Sasuke, but in your current condition, if you get hit one more time I will have to declare Naruto the winner, as he will have successfully hit you 3 times. Ninjutsu is forbidden, so don't even try it or I'll fail you for the entire year." Sasuke refused to back down and stood back up to continue. Naruto then said, "Really Uchiha? After Iruka-sensei just advised you to not continue. You're going to anyway? Okay, but it's your hospital bill." Naruto then rushed towards Sasuke at blinding speed. The next thing anyone saw was Sasuke Uchiha collapsed on the ground after Naruto punched him in both sides of his ribcage and put him in a full Nelson headlock from behind where he couldn't move. Sasuke then fell unconscious from being unable to breathe, and Naruto said, "Hey, I warned him that he would end up hospitalized. But apparently arrogance runs in the family of the Uchiha clan. I didn't cheat, just to let you know. Baka fangirls. Keep up that mentality and you will get both you and your teammates killed by the end of your first C-rank mission. If not severely injured, and your sensei takes the blame because you focused more on your looks than you did your training. Fangirls are better off being civilians, not shinobi." Naruto then wiped the sweat off of him and put his jacket back on. Iruka then said, "Winner by total knockout. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Hearing what Naruto's last name was, everyone in the training grounds' jaws dropped as they now saw the resemblance to the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. And the way he acted was exactly like the red-hot habanero, Kushina Uzumaki. They were all now afraid of what Naruto could really do if he hadn't held back in that fight. But they all knew what could have happened. He could have killed Sasuke Uchiha. All the rest of the matches ended in either a tie or a win, and when it came to the weapons throwing test, Naruto asked, "Is it okay if I stand from a farther distance from the target and swap it out with something different? Like say, a bow and arrows? From 200 yards? Plus shuriken and kunai knife?" Iruka was dumbfounded at how hitting the target from that distance was even possible. Iruka then said, Sure. Go ahead Naruto. If you can hit the target from that distance you will earn 10 extra points towards your final grade." Naruto then unsealed the bow and arrows he had in a storage seal on his left and right hand and stood at 200 yards away. He then drew back the first arrow and focused on the target. Taking a deep breath and relaxing his heart rate, he counted down as he released the arrow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Twang! The sound of the bowstring releasing the arrow was all that was heard. Until, thunk, the arrow hit its mark on the target. 2 more arrows went flying past Iruka and his dead center on the other 2 targets, followed by all 10 kunai and shuriken doing the same thing. Iruka dropped his pen and clipboard and said, "That was frightening. How did you do that?" And Naruto said, "Months and months of secret training in an area where only I could get to. You all have your secrets. And I have mine. That's all you need to know. And will someone call Anbu Black Ops Itachi Uchiha codename Weasel to take his brother to the hospital?" Iruka then asked, Naruto. Just, how exactly do you know Itachi Uchiha's Anbu codename?" And Naruto said, "Like I said sensei, I have my secrets and everyone else has their own secrets. In fact, I know the identity of every single Anbu Black Ops inside the village, including the Hokage's personal Anbu. Kakashi Hitaki, Yugo Izuki, Anko Mitarashi, Hayate Gecko, Genma Shiranui, Captain Yamato, Ibiki Morino. Even you were once an Anbu Black Ops with the codename Dolphin for your exceptional sensory skills. Do I need to continue?" Now everyone knew they had to be more respectful of Naruto, especially if he knew most of the Anbu Black Ops identities. It seems like even the Hokage had underestimated Naruto when it came to information gathering. Naruto apparently knew just as much as, if not more than, the Hokage himself. Naruto then said, "I also know all about each and every one of the clans and their abilities. Not a single one of you is able to hide anything from me. I'm very good at finding things out without getting caught, you know. And please, don't try lying to me. Because I'm a sensory type as well. And my sensory skills are unique in a way that lets me tell what everyone here is feeling right now. Similar to the same abilities as my great-great-aunt Mito Uzumaki." the first Hokage's wife. Now all of his female classmates could start drooling and hounding over him. However, if even one girl was going to get Naruto first, it's Hinata. The girls all rushed after Naruto, but quicker than anyone could see. Hinata was already in front of Naruto, ready to protect him. Naruto then said to himself, "Whoa, that was fast. I think I'm in love already. Is that what this is that I'm feeling right now? Love? No, no, no. I can't be distracted by things like that. I'd sworn to avenge my parents' deaths. I can't afford to fall in love with someone like her. She's a princess, and I'm a nobody. What could she ever love about me? I had to talk to Kurama-sensei about this. He'd know what I should do to keep these thoughts out of my head." Watching from a distance, the Hokage noticed that for a brief moment, Naruto wasn't thinking about revenge. He was thinking about Hinata. Hiruzen then said to himself, perhaps there's still a glimmer of hope left for him after all. The question is, how bright is that glimmer of hope? And will it be enough to get him back on the right path? This and many other questions ran through Hiruzen's head. If what Inoichi said was true, and if what he's just seen is anything to go by, Naruto has a personal grudge against the Uchiha clan. And Kami helped the next one that crossed his path. Fugaku Uchiha would soon learn what Naruto was capable of doing after seeing his son Sasuke in the hospital and the injuries he had. Naruto was out for Uchiha blood. And not just any Uchiha. Uchiha Madara. Naruto was still curious about what that feeling he had was when Hinata rushed in front of him to fight off the fangirls. He thought it might be love, but he had to make sure. So he decided to as before beginning the Genin test and said, "Hey Kurama-sensei, can I ask you something?" And Kurama said, "Sure thing Naruto, what did you want to ask me?" And Naruto asked the one thing that made everyone else on his team fall backwards in shock. Naruto then said, "Kurama-sensei, what does it feel like to be in love with someone? I'm just curious, that's all." Sure enough, Naruto's teammates fell backwards in shock. Hinata blushes like crazy, knowing full well that Naruto was referring to her when she demonstrated her true strength in front of him at the academy. Kurama then said, "Well, the feeling of being in love can be defined as many different things. Butterflies in your stomach, spacing out and being distracted. Have you ever felt like that before, Naruto?" And Naruto said, "Only once, sensei. Only once. At the academy. But then that brief moment ended when I remembered what I really wanted. The reason I truly wanted to become stronger. And it wasn't love, it's revenge. Revenge against a certain man who has wronged me. The night I was born. I don't care for being Hokage. I only care about becoming the strongest fighter possible. And when the time comes, when I meet that man, I'm going to kill him." Hinata was wondering who this man was that had wronged Naruto in his past the night he was born. But then she remembered what the history books said about the night of the Kyuubi attack. It was the same night Naruto was born. She knew what the path of revenge eventually lead to. In one way or another she would turn Naruto away from that path of darkness and hatred. She would make him see that sometimes, all he needed was something or someone special that he would fight to protect. Even if it costs her to sacrifice herself for him, she would do anything for him because he was her special person she fights for. Kurama knew this but would let Naruto figure that out for himself. A little bit of a life lesson would be great for him. Kurama then said, "Okay, let's see what you've got. You all have until noon to get these red bells from me, or at the very least, hit me. If you can't, you fail. If you can, you pass. The test begins." Now, Naruto, Hinata and Kiba split up to hide and come up with a plan to get the bells, but Naruto realized that the bells weren't the objective. It's teamwork. He then sent 2 shadow clones to find Kiba and Hinata, and the clones each told them they needed to work together, so they agreed that it was best to do that, then fight their sensei alone. Naruto would be the distraction while Kiba used his family's taijutsu to push him back towards Hinata. Hinata then shut down his chakra but failed. Kurama then said, "I'm impressed. It's not even noon yet and you realized that the point of this exercise was teamwork. You all pass. Meet me at the Hokage's office tomorrow for our first mission." Dismissed. Oh. And Naruto, please stay behind. There's something we need to talk about, alone. Hinata and Kiba left to go back home, with Kiba pestering her to go out on a date with him, but she just kept saying, "No Kiba, I'm sorry but I only have my heart set on Naruto. Perhaps some other girl will go out with a Hormonala-driven dog boy. Naruto-kun is stronger than you. Faster than you. More handsome, and most of all, he doesn't stop training until he gets results. You saw his fight with Sasuke. Do you honestly believe for 1 second you could beat him? You're still convinced that because we're both clan heirs we're meant for each other. You're wrong. I'll never go out with you, Kiba, so just give up trying. Kiba's pride had just taken a huge blow to the gut right now, and he was furious. How dare Naruto think he's stronger than him? He would get Hinata to love him no matter what it took. Even if he had to buy her love. He was desperate to have Hinata. The cutest girl he's ever met. And some loser was more impressive than him. He would have to rally the other Inuzukas to help him. Kurama, sensing Kiba's intentions, walked up to Kiba and said, I would not advise you to try ganging up on Naruto just because of a girl. She's in love with Naruto, not you. If you go through with trying to gang up on Naruto with your family, you will all end up in the hospital. And not in a good way either. Naruto has a fighting style that no other Junin sensei or Anbu except for me could keep up with. Because I taught it to him myself. He will cripple you from the neck down if you make any attempt to corner him. A word of caution, a cornered fox is a dangerous fox. Go home, Kiba. Forget about Hinata and find someone else to chase after. Kurama then went back to Naruto and noticed Naruto was still training and said, I understand how you feel about wanting to avenge your parents. But ask yourself this, what if there's something more you can fight for besides revenge? Like how you said you felt like you were in love once before. When was that exactly? And Naruto said, back at the academy, when Hinata saved me from those annoying fangirls. She moved so fast I was slightly impressed and felt something I never felt before. I thought it was love because my heart skipped a beat a little. But then I realized I wanted revenge for my parents' deaths. Kurama then smacked Naruto over the head and said, Uimbacile. You're not thinking straight. You're heading down the very same path as the man you want to kill. You're thinking like Madara Uchiha. Sigh. Look, I know how you feel about wanting to get revenge. But if I have learned one thing over my lifetime, it's that revenge never solved anything. It only breeds more hatred. The more revenge you seek, the more hatred that grows in your heart. Just keep that in mind. The only way to conquer the hatred in your heart is with love. Hinata loves you, not Kiba. Ask her out once and see if you feel what you felt back at the academy. You might just enjoy yourself. Naruto had given it some thought and he couldn't argue with the fact that he was becoming slightly attracted to Hinata the more he was around her. He's always tried burying the feeling every time, but sadly every time he tried, he couldn't and ran away from Hinata even when he wasn't around her. Just the thought of her made him want to lose his mind and beat a person into the ground. Naruto then said, but sensei, what if she doesn't want to go out with me and rejects me for asking? I don't think I could deal with that. And Kurama said, well then at least you tried. And don't worry, if she rejects you, you could always take it out on her father. Make him see a reason why he should encourage her to do better and go out with you on a date. It's called intimidation tactics. Scare someone enough and they'll do whatever you want them to. And if intimidating her father doesn't work, you could always challenge him to a duel of honor. And Naruto said, that sounds more fun than asking Hinata on a date. I think I'll do that instead. I heard he's really strong. Kurama then smacked Naruto over the head again and said, you idiot, that's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say is that if her father doesn't approve then you challenge him to a fight to date Hinata. Don't you know anything about clan traditions? And Naruto said, no, not really. I didn't even know I was part of the Uzumaki and Senju clans until you told me about them. So I guess that's just one more thing I have to learn how to do is politics, right? Sigh. Let's get started. After, I asked Hinata on a date and only if she rejects me. But I don't even know what she likes or enjoys doing. I need expert advice. Now who do I know that could? Of course that's it. I'll talk to Neji. But then again I did put his sensei in the hospital. But on the other hand his advice could be a big help. Arg, what should I do, sensei? And Kurama said, I'm sorry Naruto, but this is the first life lesson you will learn and have to complete on your own. Whether you succeed or fail shouldn't matter. As long as you don't give up on trying and do your best. Who knows, maybe something good will come from it. And Naruto said, fine. I guess I'm on my own then. But I'll at least do my best to try and not embarrass myself in front of her. Thanks sensei. Oh, and by the way, don't think I don't know about that little crush you had on Matabi, the two-tailed cat from Kumo. You would have made a cut couple, you know. A shame really. since she's sealed inside a Jinchuriki of her own. Kurama just blushed a bright red and said, "How do you know about that? That's a secret that I've never told you before, so how did you find out about it?" And Naruto said, "Our memories and thoughts are linked with each other, remember? My memories are your memories and your memories are my memories. As host and tailed beast we share a mental link. Also, you talk in your sleep when you are inside the seal. Why didn't you tell me that you and the other tailed beasts were created from the God Tree? Or should I just call it, the 10 Tails? And that its host was the Sage of Six Paths? My great ancestor?" And Kurama said, "Well, I guess you have figured out how to access my memories through the seal. Damn you and your Uzumaki clan abilities to understand seals. Yes, everything you just said is true. Every last word, but there's more to the story than what you already know. Perhaps one day I will tell you the whole story of why we tailed beasts were created and for what purpose. Now run along, we get our first mission from the Hokage tomorrow." And so with everyone home for the day and Naruto trying to figure out how to ask Hinata on a date with him, he decided to go back to his underground training grounds and do some workouts to stay in shape. The Hokage knew that if he was to give Naruto so much as a single D-rank mission, he would be in the same line with his senseis to meet the Shinigami. So he would give all the chores to the other genin squads and give Naruto and his team A, C-rank missions. And their first mission was an escort mission. One that Naruto would enjoy all too much. A mission that would let him fight at his fullest potential and kill someone at the same time. Oh, he was going to have fun, alright. Lots of fun. Plus there would be more live punching bags for him to beat up. The Hokage just hoped that Naruto wasn't too far gone emotionally and mentally to not be saved from the darkness within his heart. He could only hope that Hinata's light was what guided Naruto out of the darkness that was slowly consuming him. Only time would tell. And it all started with him asking Hinata on a date. Naruto had been looking all over the village for Hinata but couldn't find her. Even with his sensory skills she was good at hiding from him. So he eventually gave up until Sakura noticed Naruto's saddened state and asked, "Hey Naruto, what's the matter? You look tired and upset. Why is that?" And Naruto said, "Oh, hey Sakura, shouldn't you be off following around Sasuke or something like that? But don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I was just looking for Hinata to ask her something personal, that's all." Sakura couldn't believe it. She already knows what Naruto wanted to ask Hinata but couldn't believe he's actually beginning to notice. She could tell by how he was acting that it was a dead giveaway sign that he seems desperate, so she decided to help her blonde hair friend out and said, "Are you sure you looked everywhere? All of her favorite places?" And Naruto said, "Yeah, I did. I checked Ino's family flower shop, the training grounds, the cinnamon rolls shop, the tea shop, shinobi stores, even her house. And that's the first place I went to look. I don't know where she would be." And Sakura said, "Well, you've checked everywhere." She goes, "Why not check everywhere you go to? Since she secretly follows you everywhere you go to as well. Start with Ichiraku's and your apartment and then the Hokage's monument. Are you trying to find Hinata so you could ask her to go out on a date with you, Tilda?" Sakura said the last part in a teasing manner. And Naruto just stood stiff as a board and said, Maybe, I don't know really. And besides, that's none of your business, because if I did tell you, you would just tell Ino and she would tell the whole village. That girl doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut to save her own life." Naruto then ran off and eventually he found Hinata in the last place he ever expected her to be. Ichiraku ramen noodle stand. And sure enough, she was looking for Naruto. Tuchi and Ayame Ichiraku noticed Naruto and was about to greet their favorite customer until he started to have second thoughts about what he was about to ask Hinata and started to walk away. Just as he began turning around and walking away, he bumped into his sensei Kurama, and Kurama just said in a serious tone of voice, "Where do you think you are going, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze? Surely you weren't about to leave Hinata alone after all this searching you've done to find her and ask her on a date with you?" And Naruto said, "But sensei, I don't know the first thing about how to ask something like that. I'm nervous. What do I say? What do I need to do? What if I mess up? What if..." Bonk. Kurama hit Naruto over the head and said, "You are overthinking things again, you imbacile. Just like your father always did. Sigh. Look. Just be yourself and say what you feel about her. Simple, right?" And Naruto said, "Says the fox who was too afraid of being rejected by his own crush on the Nibi. And got cold feet." And Kurama said, Just get going or I'll show you what having cold feet really is. Naruto then went into Ichiraku's and sat next to Hinata. Teuchi then asked, "Hey Naruto, why did you start running away earlier? Is something wrong that you don't feel comfortable talking about?" And Naruto said, "It's better if we wait until closing so I can ask Hinata something in private, alone." Ayame and Teuchi got the hint as Ayame just winked at the two future lovebirds and said, "Okay, you two, we'll give you some alone time to get better acquainted with each other after all the customers have left. You could use the back kitchen." And Naruto said, "Thanks Ayame-ne-chan, you guys are the best." The noodle stand closed up shop for the day a few hours later and Naruto grabbed Hinata by her hand, which made her blush a little as she asked, "Naruto-kun, just what exactly is it that you wanted to ask me and why did you want us to be alone when you did?" And Naruto said, "Shush, let me put up the privacy barrier so Ayame-ne-chan and the old man can't hear us." Uzumaki ceiling art, privacy barrier. Level 5. A green barrier then fell over them and Naruto said, "This is a level 5 privacy barrier. Not even the Hokage's crystal ball could see through it. Now as for what I want to ask you, Hinata-chan, will you be my girlfriend? And would you like to go out on a date with me tomorrow night?" Hinata was speechless. She couldn't believe it. Her dream was coming true. Naruto was asking her on a date and wanted her to be his girlfriend. She only had one thing to say to Naruto and that was, "Yes, yes Naruto-kun, I'd love to be your girlfriend. Nothing would make me happier than this." Meanwhile Teuchi and Ayame were hiding in the storage closet to see and hear Naruto and Hinata's conversation. But sadly they knew that Naruto would have put up a privacy barrier to keep any prying eyes and ears from hearing whatever the conversation was about. But for some reason when the barrier was dropped, Naruto and Hinata were holding hands, and they were happy, and sharing their first kiss. Ayame them squealed in excitement and said, "Eek, I can't believe it. Naruto, you have finally gotten yourself a girlfriend. I am so happy for you. Lady Hinata, if you break Naruto's heart, I'll make you a ramen so hot and unpleasant you will never eat anything with noodles ever again." Do you understand what I'm saying? Naruto hasn't had a great childhood so far. But with you in his life now, I hope the two of you last forever. See you lovebirds tomorrow night. Naruto was curious how Ayame knew that the date was tomorrow night and guessed that he probably didn't put enough chakra into the barrier jutsu and it began to fall down. He would need to work on that little issue with his sensei Kurama. But right now Naruto could care less about training or his first mission. Sadly, the mission was going to be the same day as the mission. But since they were on the same team together, they could always have their date wherever their mission was. They may be on a mission, but that doesn't mean they couldn't still find time for their first date together. One way or another they would have their first date alone together. Naruto then said, "Well Hinata-chan, I guess we'll have to plan out our date while on our mission tomorrow. I forgot that we just officially became a team and..." Naruto then paused for a moment before activating his chakra chains and using them grabbed Kiba and said, as he tightened his grip on his chain, "What do you want, Kiba? Can't you see Hinata-chan and I are together now? Give up on her and find someone else or you just might find out why I'm known as the blonde beast of Konoha. Go home, Kiba, now. Otherwise I'll have to put you in the hospital." Kurama then appeared and said, "Kiba Inuzuka, I thought I told you that you are not a match for Naruto. Hinata's mind has been made up. She's in love with Naruto. Not you. No matter how much you try, you will always be nothing more than a teammate to her. You should know that Naruto also loves her and will fight anyone willing or daring enough to take her from him. Naruto, take Hinata home, would you? I'll drag this hormonal-driven dog boy back to his mother. Perhaps she will smack some sense into him. If I did I would probably accidentally kill him." Naruto then released Kiba from his chains and dropped him to the ground and said, "Fine sensei. But if he comes back to try and get Hinata from me again, don't expect me to be too merciful next time, Inuzuka. You just might not like to see what other clan bloodline abilities I have. Not that you would believe me if I told you anyway. Goodbye, Kiba. I hope this is the last time you try getting Hinata because you're in heat and she's still a virgin. Her father would kill you for breaking her clan's tradition of having intercourse outside of being married. See you tomorrow, Kiba, Kurama-sensei." Naruto then began walking Hinata home towards the Hyuga clan compound in the clan district, and when he saw her father he had to apologize for Hinata's lateness getting home because Kiba Inuzuka tried to get down Hinata's pants again as he said. "Forgive me for Hinata-chan being late, Lord Hiyashi. We were held up by a wild animal in heat. I'm certain you're aware of Kiba's multiple attempts to get with Hinata to satisfy his animalistic urges to breed with the first female he sees? That first female being my girlfriend here. Had Kurama-sensei not stepped in, it wouldn't have ended well for Kiba Inuzuka, let's just leave it at that." Hiyashi was aware of the underground fighting ring that Naruto was running and knew who Kurama really was. However, even though he was that his daughter's sensei was a tailed beast, he was more worried about Kiba Inuzuka getting put in the hospital by Naruto himself. Naruto could break people's bones in the same fashion that the Hyuga clan could shut down a person's chakra network. By hitting pressure points on the enemy's body with enough force to shatter their bodies. Hiyashi shuddered at the thought of that happening to him. When Neji said that his sensei Maeda Guy was put in the hospital by Naruto, he almost didn't believe it himself until the Hokage showed everyone on the village council the hospital charts and injuries sustained. He knew his daughter Hinata was in good hands. Hiyashi then said, "I shall have a conversation with Kiba's mother Sume Inuzuka about his actions. Past and previous. You have no reason to worry, Naruto-sama. I trust she will be home on time tomorrow after your date? That's why you were here earlier today looking for her, weren't you? I have no problems with it or your new relationship. As long as you treat her with respect. If you break her heart, I'll make sure you're unable to use chakra ever again, permanently. And have her home no later than 9 p.m. Do we understand each other?" Naruto then gave Hiyashi a serious look and flexing his fingers as if itching for a fight, said, "I think we understand each other quite perfectly. Lord Hiyashi, sir, I would never break her heart. Unless someone tried taking her away from me and I had to break them, that is." Hiyashi got the hidden message behind Naruto's answer and said, "I prefer we never fight against each other unless you want to marry my daughter in the future. Then you would have to face me one-on-one in front of the entire clan. But you don't have to worry about that just yet. I trust you with her life, Naruto. Don't make me regret doing so." And Naruto said, "I will protect her from anyone else who might want to do her harm. Friend, family or enemy. You have my promise that I will always protect Hinata-chan. And I mean always." Naruto then walked home himself, where he then took the underground tunnel to his hidden training grounds to blow off some steam on a punching bag. After which, when he was done, he looked at Kurama and said, "Do you think I did the right thing by sparing that pathetic horny hound I should be calling a teammate? I don't like him. He's always after Hinata. He just wants her to force himself onto her like a wild animal. And to top it all off, she already accepted to be my girlfriend first." Bam! Naruto then hit the punching bag so hard that all of the sand inside of it came spilling out. He stood there huffing and puffing after getting out all of his anger and frustration, and calming down a little went over to the hot spring that he had built in a separate part of the room and just relaxed his muscles as all the sweat was washed off of him and all his stress was gone in an instant. He then closed his eyes and just focused on the date he and Hinata would have and how beautiful she would look. Kurama then walked over to Naruto and said, "Now see, what did I tell you? She loves you and now you love her, right?" And Naruto said, "I guess you're right, sensei. But sometimes I wish Kiba would find someone else to chase after for once. Hinata's my girlfriend now and teammates or not, I'll break every bone in his body if so much as tries to get down her pants or buy her love one more time. He will be the 23rd hospital patient on the first floor of the village hospital. Clan heir status be damned. I'm not going to let him within 2 feet of Hinata-chan. And I dare his mother to try stopping me." And Kurama said, "You won't have to worry about that. I talked to his mother and he will be cleaning the Inuzuka clan kennels after every mission when he gets home from now on." He. This made Naruto feel more relieved to hear that Kiba's mother Sume Inuzuka was punishing him for trying to take away someone else's mate, as Kurama put it. And that everything would have worked out in the end either way. Hinata's got the man of her dreams. Naruto had found another reason to get stronger besides revenge. And if everything went as Kurama plans, there might just be a few mini Naruto and Hinatas walking around in the near future. He hoped so, because he was never a father himself, but in the case of Naruto, he was the closest thing to a father Naruto had. Eventually he would just sit back and watch Naruto and Hinata grow after becoming Chunin and build up the Uzumaki clan and Senju clans all over again. A new generation was obviously possible with those two, and Kurama would do everything in his power to keep it that way. He's never seen Naruto so much more happy before than he is now, and that's what matters most to Kurama. When Naruto is happy, he's happy. Naruto was just about to make the preparations for his date with Hinata when Kurama showed up and said, "I'm sorry Naruto, but you will have to put your date with Hinata on hold because the Hokage has a C-rank mission for us. It's an escort mission, but I've got a strange feeling that it's not a C-rank mission. But more than likely an A-rank mission. I met with the client and he said he doesn't believe that someone like you and your teammates could protect him. His name is Tazuna and I warned him you wouldn't be too happy that he is requesting for a strong team and not underestimate your abilities, but he was still drunk, so, lack of confidence." Now Naruto was furious. He's been looking forward to his date all day only to be told their date needs to be put on hold for some old drunk bridge builder. Naruto then channeled a heavy amount of wind chakra into his fist and punched the wall, leaving a first-sized hole in it. Naruto then said, "Damn you old man Hokage. You couldn't find someone else to do it. Who else is going on this mission?" And Kurama said, "Kakashi Hitaki and his team of genin consisting of Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka." And Naruto said, "Great, just wonderful. We're going to be stuck on a mission with a lazy perverted Junin sensei, 2 weak fangirls and an Uchiha who feels he's entitled to everything. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, that's right. They get into trouble and we have to save their asses. No way. I'll work with any other teams except that one. Tell the old man Hokage he's going to need Tsunade to heal him once I'm done with him. He is so dead when I see him." Meanwhile in the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi was waiting for Kurama and his team to show up when suddenly a shiver ran down his spine as if he's just poked and angered the blonde beast of Konoha to the point of being put into the hospital and Tsunade had to heal him. And that bad feeling he had came true when Naruto came busting down his office door, hands coated in wind chakra cracking his knuckles and the air around everyone in the room being sucked towards him. Kakashi Hitaki knew what that was. And he knew he had to hide his Makeout Paradise book unless he wants to end up hospitalized like Jiraiya. Kakashi then said, "Hey there, Naruto. How have you been doing lately?" And Naruto said, "Shut up you lazy perverted Junin. You're a disgrace to my father as his last remaining student. What is that you are hiding in your shinobi pouch, Kakashi? Please tell me that's not a porn novel, is it? Show it to me, both of you, now." Hiruzen and Kakashi both gulped and were about to argue, but then Hiruzen looked at the calendar and realized what today was. Seeing the angry look on Naruto's face, he said, "Now Naruto, I'm sorry that this might interfere with your date with Hinata. And I'm sorry I didn't think about it before this came up. I should have told you before I accepted Tazuna's request. Will you forgive me for the position I put you in?" Naruto then approached Hiruzen and smashed his desk with his bare hands and then grabbing the Hokage by his robes and lifting him off his feet said, "You want forgiveness? I'll show you forgiveness. Wind style. Cyclone Fox Fist." Naruto then cocked back his fist and was about to send Hiruzen flying out his office window until Hinata came over to him and said, "Naruto-kun, please calm down. We could always have our date night somewhere else when we get back from the mission. I promise we'll have our date night, but the mission comes first, okay? Put the Hokage down and relax. For me, please?" Hiruzen Sarutobi had no idea how close he came to flying across the village. Fortunately for him, Naruto had calmed down a bit and Kakashi thought he would have to save the Hokage, but when Hinata stepped in front of Naruto, he knew that was going to be the end of the blonde beast's rage. Naruto then threw the Hokage against the wall and punching it said, "Pull something like this again and I'll send you halfway across the village." "Am I clear, Hokage-sama?" Hiruzen then said as he rubbed his neck. "I understand perfectly, Naruto. And again I am sorry for not telling you that you had a mission to go on and what team would be joining you. Team 7 Kakashi. Should you encounter any trouble on this mission, you're to let Team Kurama help you. That means you as well, Uchiha. You will under no circumstances attempt to fight alone against an enemy of Jonin rank or higher. Am I understood? You're to let Naruto and his team deal with them. Nobody said anything because they were all too afraid of Naruto right now. He had just attacked the Hokage. And wasn't even being punished for it. Was Naruto really that powerful that even the Hokage's afraid of him? Sakura then walked over to Kurama and asked, Kurama-san? What makes Naruto so much more different from others that he's not being punished for attacking the Hokage? Does he have some kind of influence over the Hokage or something? And Kurama said, let's just say that there's things about Naruto that are best kept secret from others. If anyone else knew who his parents were besides me, Naruto your sensei and the Hokage and the village council, he would become a target for everyone from other villages. Especially if the Tsuchikage and the Hidden Stone village found out about his existence. It's Naruto's secret to tell, not mine. I've raised him like he was my own child. From the day he was born up until now. I've raised him, taught him and trained him everything he knows. He just chooses not to show all of his skills and what he is capable of doing unless the situation calls for it. He's got two of the most powerful bloodline abilities known to Konoha since the first Hokage and his wife. That's all I can say. Anything else you want to know about you're going to have to ask Naruto personally. Naruto then said, let's just get this mission over with so I can go on my date with Hinata-chan. And Kakashi. If you pull out that book even once on this mission, you will be the 23rd hospital patient I've crippled from the neck down. Do we understand each other? Kakashi just nodded his head yes, and Naruto said, and as for you Tazuna, no more sake until we get you home and you finish your bridge. This isn't a C-rank mission everyone. Tazuna lied to the Hokage. Think about it. Why hire a group of shinobi to escort you unless someone has hired other shinobi to kill you and keep the bridge from being built? There's something you aren't telling any of us and you will tell us, or I'll just have the council do a background check on the status of your country's current financial situation. It's your choice Tazuna. Tell us what you are hiding. I have connections to the civilian and shinobi council members. We're playing a game of shogi right now and this ends two ways. I put you in checkmate where we could decide not to take you back to the land of Wave Country. After which you would be questioned about lying to the Hokage. Or, I put you in check. And you tell us everything. Tazuna then said, fine kid. You got me backed up into a corner here. I'll explain everything to you while we make our way back to my home in Wave Country. And so Team 7 and Team Kurama left the village escorting Tazuna back to his home in Wave Country. Well, it was going smoothly, until suddenly Naruto heard something flying through the air and jumped over it and grabbed the executioner's blade by its handle and observed the sword said. This sword could only belong to one person. Isn't that right? Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist? You should know that I am already aware of the fact that you have an accomplice waiting to save you if you get hurt. Based on the chakra I'm sensing, they're an ice release bloodline user. I thought they were all wiped out during the bloodline purge last year in Kiri. I guess at least one of them survived. It's funny really. I had expected this sword of yours to be heavier. This isn't even a paperweight. It's more of a pebble. Zabuza then said, I gotta give you credit kid. It's not just anyone who's strong enough to lift my sword. I tell you what, I'll make a bet with you. If you could beat me in a one-on-one taijutsu only fight. Right here, right now, you could have my sword and I'll teach you how to use it, and the silent killing technique. And Naruto said, alright, you have yourself a deal. But I gotta warn you, I never hold back against a tough opponent. But I have a feeling you will be able to give me a challenge. Let's see if you can keep up with my taijutsu. And Zabuza said, ha ha ha, I like your determination kid. Don't cry if I beat you. Naruto then said, Kurama-sensei. My workout soundtrack if you don't mind. Kurama then pulled out a radio and popped in a CD and said, you guys may not want to be in the way for what happens after the music starts playing. It gets a little bloodthirsty. And Kakashi said, just what exactly are you talking about Kurama? That's a Jonin level missing nin Naruto is up against. Naruto then took off his jacket and sandals and threw it at Kakashi, who caught it, and Naruto said, hey Kakashi, make yourself useful and hold on to all my gear for me will you? Don't worry Sasuke, you're going to be the towel and water boy. At least you are good for something. Naruto then stretched out his body and channeled chakra to all his muscles and said, hey Hinata-chan, how about a kiss for good luck? Hinata then gave Naruto a kiss on the lips and said, just be careful and don't die before our first date. Okay? Naruto then said, I don't plan on dying today. I still have one other reason for fighting. But that can wait. Are you ready, Zabuza? Zabuza then said, whenever you are, kid. Let's see what you can do to me. Zabuza had then regretted saying those words as Naruto then got into the praying mantis stance using his own variation of the style. He had bent his knees low to the ground and held one arm over his head and the other at the center of where his chest is and controlled his breathing. Zabuza was now in his rigid dragon stance. But when he noticed Naruto's stance, his eyes widened with fear as he then said, "Oh, shit. You're that blonde beast of Konoha. The blonde beast of Konoha who crippled the green beast made a guy." And Naruto said, "The one and only. Now then, if you're not going to make the first move, then I will." The music then started playing, and when it did, all hell broke loose as Naruto vanished from view. The next thing Zabuza knew, he was down on one knee and screaming in pain. "Ah, damn it, ALLL. I'm not going to be beaten by some kid." Zabuza then endured the pain while he popped his knee back into place and said, "Not bad, kid. You're pretty fast. I didn't realize you ever even moved. You moved so fast you created an after image of yourself. Gotta ask you something though. How did you manage to get my knee to break like that?" And Naruto said, "You would be surprised at how many different uses chakra has when it comes to strengthening the body's muscular response and nerve endings that the muscle tissue is connected to. Strengthen those and your skin and bones become harder than steel. I simply added earth chakra to my technique to hit harder." The fighting continued as Naruto struck Zabuza's left shoulder and fractured his collarbone. Zabuza was now left with only one good arm. And that wasn't a good thing. Zabuza then relocated his shoulder, and everyone else was freaking out at the sound of bones breaking and being fixed. So much that for a second Sakura and Ino almost felt like covering their ears. Naruto then struck Zabuza's right knee, which Zabuza pops back into place. Zabuza then said, "Give it up, kid. You're never winning that sword from me. Break as many of my bones as possible, I'll just come right back at you by forcing them back into place." And Naruto said, "I wouldn't be so sure about that if I were you. You're using your chakra as a type of painkiller where you don't feel anything when you do that. So if I was to strike you here." Naruto then struck Zabuza under his arms and sweep kicked him out from under his feet and struck his legs and said, and here. Ah, damn it. Zabuza was now in even more pain than last time, and Naruto said, "I could easily kill you within 3 strikes to the chest and lungs, breaking your ribs in the process, which would then puncture your intestines like your stomach, kidneys and liver areas, causing internal bleeding and moments later, death. So, how badly do you want to win now?" And Zabuza said, "Alright, kid, you got me. I know when I'm beaten. The sword is yours to keep. As its previous owner, I alone decide who's worth wielding it before my death. That's you. Use her well. Now could you fix me up so I can walk?" And Naruto said, "Sure thing, Zabuza. Hiku, Senbon needle. Now, here's Zabuza. Bite down on this." Zabuza then bit down on the metal needle as Naruto finished popping and forcing his bones back in place. When all was said and done, Naruto helped Zabuza up and handed him a bottle of painkiller food pills and said, "Take one of those each day, twice a day, every 2 hours, and your pain should be completely gone. I'd also recommend soaking your body in a hot spring or a hot water bath to soothe the tension built up in your muscles and major arteries. We'll see you in 1 week to kill Gato and his army of bandits. Oh, and the name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Well, goodbye." Zabuza's eyes widened in fear as his mind just finished processing everything Naruto just said, and hearing his last name remembered a certain red-haired woman who was a Jonin in the Third Shinobi War, along with a man who had the same blonde hair and blue eyes as Naruto. It then occurred to him that he just got beat by their kid. He then said as he looks at Hiku, "Hiku, remind me to never ever piss off that kid. He's no ordinary shinobi genin. He's far more dangerous than you could imagine." And Hiku asked, "Who is he really, Master Zabuza? I'm curious about what you fear about him." And Zabuza said, "Hiku, have you ever heard of the Yellow Flash and Red Hot Habanero of the Hidden Leaf Village?" And Hiku said, "Why yes, Master Zabuza, I have. Although I don't see why you would be. Dear Kami, are you telling me that he's their son?" "Master Zabuza, I think we should reconsider our current contract with Gato. He's more than likely going to kill us once the bridge builder is dead and claim our bounties for himself. I would advise that you let me go undercover without my mask on and then spy on Gato to see what his plans are for us." And Zabuza said, "Be very careful, Haku. You're like a daughter or niece I never had to me. If someone else tried to rape you I wouldn't forgive myself. Watch your back around those scumbag bandits of his. Gather all the information you need and get right back to the hideout. Paper trails, money transactions, financial activities, anything we could use to help the Konoha nin to take him down. Understand?" And Haku said, "Yes, Master Zabuza, I understand perfectly clear. Infiltrate the mansion. Get whatever information I can provide you with. Deliver it to the Konoha shinobi at the bridge and return before Gato shows up. Consider it done, my master." Zabuza then said, "Haku, in the event that you are discovered, you're going to have to kill whoever spotted you. And I mean as in real death. Not a death-like state. Think you could do that?" And Haku said, "I can do my best to harden my emotions to kill master. Whatever it takes to complete the mission, right?" And Zabuza said, "It seems like I've taught you a little too well, Haku. I was never good with emotions, but if you think you are just a weapon for me to use, you're wrong. I really do care about you, Haku. And I just want to know that you are happy and find someone who will also take care of you." Naruto made you blush behind your mask a little at the sight of his muscular body, didn't he? I could tell. He turns you on, doesn't he? Haku then pulled out a set of senbon needles and said, "Master Zabuza, don't make me have to torture you like last time. You do remember what happened last time you teased me about that particular subject, don't you?" And Zabuza said, Fine, I'll stop. But honestly, Haku, you need to find yourself a love interest before I grow too old and die." And Haku said, "When the time comes and I find the right person, I will master. Until then, you need to take your medicine Naruto had prescribed you. Here." Haku then fed Zabuza his medicine Naruto prescribed him and immediately felt the pain beginning to go away. Once they got back to their hideout, Haku started a warm bath for Zabuza to relax his muscles as he let out a sigh of relief and said, "Damn, Haku, the kid was right. My muscles do feel a little bit better now. To think that I will be better within a week would be a complete miracle." Zabuza then just sat there and relaxed as the hot bath water soothes his tired muscles. He then looked at Haku and said, "You know what, Haku, there's something off about that guy Kurama. He's got a type of chakra that I haven't seen or felt since." "Oh hell. Haku, do you remember what Yagura was while he was the Mizukage?" And Haku said, "He was a Jinchuriki like Utakata. He held the Sanbi, three-tailed turtle, didn't he?" And Zabuza said, "That's exactly what he was, Haku. The only difference is that if Naruto is the host, then how is the Nine Tails able to walk around freely without the kid dying on him? It's unusual for a Jinchuriki and their tailed beast, especially if you are talking about the Nine Tails, to get along with their tailed beast. Unless the kids made a deal with the Nine Tails, I can't think of anything else." And Haku said, "Master Zabuza, I know that you don't have a summoning contract, but what if the tailed beasts are actually a form of summons? If what I have researched about them is true, they are solid manifestations of chakra given a physical form of animals, created by the Sage of Six Paths. What if Naruto holds a summoning contract with the Nine Tails that lets him walk around in human form, and could go to or from the seal at will with the summoning jutsu? This is just a theory that I have, but I don't think there's any other way to explain it." And Zabuza said, "You may be right, Haku. But either way, I'm not taking any chances against a tailed beast, human form or not." Haku then left Zabuza's clothes next to him on the floor and went off on his information-gathering mission to blackmail Gato. If she succeeded, it would be a major win-win situation. The Konoha shinobi win because they have a cause for Gato's execution, and they would win because they would be able to possibly join the Hidden Leaf Village. Either way, Gato was a dead little midget businessman. If Gato thought Zabuza's reputation as the bloody demon of the Hidden Mist was frightening, he would soon see what true fear, terror, and horror was. Once he's seen the blonde beast of Konoha kill his bandits, game over for Gato. Wave Country would be free from his oppression, and all the money Gato's taken would be returned to the people. In the end, everyone, except for Gato of course, wins. It was dinner time at Tazuna's house, and Naruto was calmly eating dinner with everyone else at the table when suddenly Tsunami's son Inari decided to speak his mind and said, "Why do you people keep trying so hard? Why don't you just go back to your village and leave us alone? Nobody here believes in heroes anymore. You don't have any idea how much we've suffered because of Gato's thugs. You don't know what pain really is. What it's like to be treated like dirt. Everyone's facial expressions went pale white as if Inari had just said something that he would soon regret. And sure enough, he did regret it. Naruto then vanished and reappeared faster than Inari could blink at the top of the stairs as he said to Naruto, "Get out of the so I can get to my room. I don't understand why Grandpa keeps trying to finish that bridge. He's just going to get himself killed like my father was." And Naruto said, "And what if I told you that there's people in this world, this very house even, that have suffered more pain, and been through far worse than you? You whiny, spineless, cowardly snot-nosed brat, you should be showing us respect. Since your grandfather is paying for our protection detail, we could have refused, and your grandfather and mother and by extent yourself, would still be poor and faithless. But I tell you what, kid, if you could get past me, I'll let you go to your room and wallow in self-pity. But if you can't, then you and I are going to compare results of what real pain is. Be grateful for the fact you still have your mother and grandfather. I've never known what my mother looked like or who she was until Kurama-sensei told me everything. You want to know pain? Take a good look at the scars on my upper body, kid, and tell me about pain. Try growing up without your birth parents and not being told who they were your entire life. Then talk to me about suffering. Because that's where I'm still at in my life now. Even though I have my godfather, and my grandma Tsunade, and Kurama-sensei who is like a father to me, I'll always still be growing up never knowing my real parents' love or kindness, or life lessons and stories they could have shared and taught me. You see this? It's a seal, a type of shinobi art we use for different things from containment to torture and even teleportation and demolition. This particular seal on my stomach is a level 8 containment seal with the soul essence of the Shinigami as the main power source. A forbidden technique called the Reaper Death Seal was used on me the night I was born at the cost of my parents' lives to save the Hidden Leaf Village from my sensei. He's the nine-tailed fox. I am his Jinchuriki, more commonly known as the power of human sacrifice. Now do you get it, you brat? You think other people have it so great and you are suffering. Think about everything I just told you and then tell me what you know about what it's like to suffer at the mercy of your own people you protect. People who constantly try killing you on your own birthday. You know what? Just go back to your room. I'm done eating dinner because you're not worth my time. Or my efforts. Good night. Naruto then headed over to the front door and Kakashi said, "Naruto, where are you going? We still have to get up tomorrow morning to protect Tazuna, remember?" And Naruto said, "I'm well aware of the mission parameters, Kakashi Hitaki. I'm just stepping out to do some training. I'll be in the forest if anyone else needs me." Naruto then stormed out the door and slammed it behind him so hard that everything in the house shook slightly out of place. Tazuna then looked at Kakashi and the others and asked, "Was everything that kid said true? Was he really beaten up, stabbed, cut, tormented and ridiculed his entire life and never once told about his parents? Who is his parents anyway? And what did he mean that symbol on his stomach was a seal powered by the death god? And what is the Reaper Death Seal anyway? What's so dangerous about it that it cost his parents their lives?" And Kakashi said, "Yes, Tazuna, everything Naruto just said was true. As for the questions you have asked, well, perhaps it's best if Kurama's the one to explain what seals are and what makes the Reaper's Death Seal so dangerous." And Kurama said, well, as Naruto had just gotten done saying, seals have many different types of uses. But the most dangerous is the 8 trigrams Reaper Death Seal. The reason this particular seal is so dangerous is because yes, you can call the Shinigami for help. But what makes the Reaper's Death Seal dangerous is what the cost of the seal is. And Tazuna asked, "And just what exactly is the cost of using that particular sealing technique, Kurama sir?" And Kurama said, "The cost of the Reaper's Death Seal, Tazuna, is your soul. Or in Naruto's parents' case, souls. After you've called the Shinigami for help and he's done what you asked for. Well, you get the general idea of what he is taking in exchange for his help." Tazuna's eyes widened in disbelief as he couldn't imagine how Naruto could have survived such a thing as that after only just being born, let alone growing up without his own parents. Tazuna then said, "So, his parents sacrificed themselves, gave away their souls to the Reaper, to protect their only child? Knowing the life he would live without them to guide him or love him?" And Kurama said, "To put it lightly, yes, they knew what the cost was. They knew how their son would be treated. I wasn't about to let that happen. When he was old enough, I began to train him. Teach him how to be a strong shinobi. As for his grudge against the Uchihas, you could say that I was taken control of by a man who should be dead for the last 100 years now. Madara Uchiha. Sadly, I'd seen all the signs of his thirst for revenge and how he'd seen all Uchihas as evil and corrupted, power-hungry and entitled to whatever they felt others didn't deserve because they were one of the founding clans of Konoha. The other was the Senju clan. Naruto and Tsunade are the last two known living members of the Senju and Uzumaki clans. I'll go talk to him and see if he has calmed down a bit. Care to join me, Hinata? I'm sure he could use your company right about now. Hinata then went with Kurama to the forest area where Naruto said he'd be training, and sure enough there was a trail of destroyed trees everywhere they looked. Almost a full mile's worth of the forest was destroyed, grew back and then destroyed again. Kurama and Hinata could only assume it was Naruto using his wood-release bloodline to make trees and use them as training posts. Boom, crack, smash, crash. Kurama could tell that just based on the destructive sounds alone Naruto was training with his chakra chains and wasn't letting up anytime soon. Kurama and Hinata found Naruto in a clearing he'd made and noticed that his chakra chains had a different color to them this time. Instead of blue or gold, they were red. Tailed beast chakra red. Kurama didn't think it was even possible for any Uzumaki to do that. But apparently, Naruto wasn't just any Uzumaki. He was of royal blood. Uzumaki and Senju. Hinata then said, Kurama-sensei, shouldn't we do something to help him? He's very upset with the Hokage for ruining our date night with each other, and now this issue with Tazuna's grandson about how he's suffered and endured and felt more pain than them. What do you think I should do for him? I want to help him but I don't know how. And Kurama said, well, if there's anything I've learned from raising him, it's that when Naruto is angry or upset about something like this, it's best just to let him get it all out of his system through training. I'd feel sorry for anyone foolish enough to approach him when he gets like this and try killing him. They normally wind up being dead instead. An emotionally unstable Jinchuriki is a very dangerous Jinchuriki, especially when the only emotion that is most dominant is rage, anger, hatred, or in some cases, depression. The only thing a Jinchuriki can and must always feel to overcome those emotions is love. Something that only you can provide him with. It seems like he is finished. Go ahead and comfort him, Hinata. He needs you right now more than ever before. Naruto was just laying there on the ground looking up at the stars, wondering what Kami thought he did to deserve this. Was it his fate? Did the gods have a prophecy of some kind that he had to fulfill? What was his purpose in life and why did his parents have to die for him? Hinata then sat next to Naruto and said, You're thinking about them again, aren't you? Your parents. And how you wished they were still alive to be with you. There's only one jutsu that could bring back the dead, Naruto-kun. You know what it is, but you're too kind-hearted to do it, aren't you? You're afraid of using the Edo Tensei jutsu and bringing them back to you. And Naruto said, Oh, hey there, Hinata-chan. You're right, I was thinking about them again. I was also wondering what I did to deserve my life being spared. Or worse, what would have happened if I had died with them? We'd still be able to be a family. Sure, but at what cost? What would be the point of 2 lives versus an entire village that could always be rebuilt? It's just so unfair that everyone has what I've always wanted. Parents, a clan, a family to call my own and say I belong to. You're lucky that you still have the Hyuga clan to go back to when we return to the village, Hinata-chan. Tsunade and I are the only 2 remaining Uzumaki and Senju clan members left. What did my mom's clan even do to deserve being destroyed, Kurama-sensei? What happened to the Uzumaki clan that they were killed by the other villages? And Kurama said, I'm afraid they didn't do anything wrong, Naruto. But rather, what the other 4 Kage feared that they would do because of their skills with a sword and sealing techniques that couldn't be copied or replicated. You see, when you create a seal, that seal is keyed into your chakra because your chakra and blood was mixed with the ink that was used to create it. The other villages wanted that power for themselves. And the Uzumaki clan refused to give it to them because they felt only Konoha was trustworthy enough to have them. A joint invasion was then put together by the Hidden Mist Stone and Cloud Village to destroy the Uzumaki clan. Your mother was made my second Jinchuriki before Had the Raikage succeeded in taking Hinata years later, you would have been born in the Hidden Cloud. Not the Hidden Leaf Village. And Hinata wouldn't be your girlfriend right now. She'd be used as breeding stock for her bloodline, the Byakugan. Fear makes people do regretful things. It also gives motivation to the weak and defiant. We're stuck in this together. As Jinchuriki and Tailed Beast, we're partners bound by the threads of fate. And the powers of the Shinigami. If you're killed, then I also die along with you. Your father designed the seal so that I would never fall into enemy hands. Sigh. I know that you miss them, Naruto. And I know that you see me as a father figure. What if I made it official? What if I adopted you when we get back to the Hidden Leaf Village? I'd be your official guardian and parent. And you still get to decide whether or not to stay in Uzumaki Namikaze. Or Uzumaki Senju. You're the heir to 3 clans, but as such you can only claim clan heir status to 2 of them, and I would have to take up the 3rd one. What do you say, son? Naruto just got tears of joy and happiness in his eyes and hugging Kurama said. Nothing will make me happier than hear you always call me that, father. Thank you, both of you, for everything. Hinata-chan, what do you say we just stay here tonight for our date? The stars are out, the moon is shining brightly in the night sky, and it makes your eyes shine so beautifully like a flower that only blooms at night under the moonlight. I love you, Hinata-chan. Now and forever. Even in death as much as I do in life. Hinata's face blushed a little at Naruto's romantic confession to her. Little did they know that they were being watched by Kiba, who still hadn't learned his lesson. Apparently he and Naruto need to have another, friendly chat, about when to give up. And when to look somewhere else for a girlfriend. Naruto knew Kiba was watching them, so to add insult to injury he gave Hinata a passionate kiss on the lips, which only broke Kiba's heart even further. He'd finally realized that he'd lost his dream girl to someone related to the founder of the Hidden Leaf Village and the 2nd Hokage. Even the 4th Hokage and the heir to an entire destroyed nation, no less. It was in that moment he decided if he couldn't have Hinata as his girlfriend, nobody would. The rest of the night went fairly well as Kurama, Hinata and Naruto sat there in peace and quiet until they fell asleep. Once Naruto and Hinata were asleep, Kurama looked over his shoulder and said, "Just where exactly are you running off to, Kiba and Izuka? I know you are there. I know what you're planning on doing to break them up, and I have to warn you. It won't end well for you in the long run. You plan on requesting an arrangement to have you and Hinata married after making the rank of Chunin, don't you? Naruto is undoubtedly smarter than you and would expect that to happen. He's always been able to think ahead of his opponents. 10, sometimes 20 steps ahead even. His IQ rivals the Nara clan head's intelligence. Do you honestly want to risk fighting Naruto, who, may I add, has mastered all of his ancestor the first Hokage's taijutsu styles? And wood release techniques, is of royal blood, and could easily defeat anyone, the daimyo included, in a battle of politics? You never were all that smart to realize when you have already been defeated, Kiba. I said it before, but this is the very last time that I will say it. Give up on Hinata. Find someone else to take as your mate." Kiba then left, even more broken-hearted than he already was, mentally screaming at himself, wondering why Hinata's always had her eyes on Naruto. And then he realized something. He wasn't thinking like a kind-hearted person. He was acting no better than Sasuke Uchiha. A spoiled, rotten, pampered, entitled brat who always got what he wanted. If this wasn't a good enough reality check for Kiba, then nothing apparently would be. Naruto and Hinata woke up the next day and went back to the house only to find a very irritated Kiba Inuzuka and a very happy Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Sakura then said, "Well, I guess it looks like you guys managed to get your uninterrupted date night after all, didn't you? The moon was very bright last night and the stars were awfully beautiful, weren't they?" And Ino said, "So Hinata, how was it? Tilda, what did you guys do? Tilda. What did you talk to each other about? Tilda, and how did it end? Tilda. We want full details. You have to tell us everything." Hinata said nothing and just gave Sakura and Ino a look that promised pain and agony if they tried to get any juicy gossip out of her, knowing that Ino could never keep her mouth shut to save her life, and Sakura would drag Hinata all over Konoha for a girls' day out, which she knew was code for clothes shopping. Lots and lots of unnecessary clothes shopping. She didn't want to go through that and said, "It's none of your concern, and all you need to know is that we had a very lovely night together with Kurama-sensei joining us. He told us a lovely story about Naruto's parents, where they came from, and even what they were best at. I'm going to prepare for my shift to guard Tazuna's family. You should prepare to guard the bridge. Naruto-kun is placing seals on the bridge that the 4th Hokage created. I think he called it the Hiraishin seal. Wasn't that the same technique that Lord 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze used to defeat the forces of the Hidden Stone and Hidden Cloud? I wonder how Naruto-kun knows about it. I mean, how could he unless he was related to the 4th Hokage himself? But there's no way anyone would know about that unless he told them that he's the son of a Hokage. If Sakura and Ino thought Naruto was impressive before at the academy, they were practically drooling with desire in their eyes and wanted Hinata to share him now. Son of the 4th Hokage. Clan heir to the Senju and Uzumaki clans. Able to use the Mokuton bloodline. Sakura and Ino the whisper over to Hinata and said, "Hey Hinata. Any chance you would be willing to share Naruto with us? We're your friends after all." And Hinata said, "But weren't the two of you in competition with each other for Sasuke Uchiha?" And Sakura said, "Who's he? We only have one man on our minds and that's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, tilde." And Hinata said, maybe not. If both of you make it to the finals of the upcoming Chunin exams and win, or beat me in the exams fair and square, I might consider it. Or I could keep him all to myself and admire that well-toned and muscular body of his day and night, tilde. Until then, keep your hands off of my man. Are we clear? Ino and Sakura just began to sweat like crazy with fear in their minds at the way Hinata gave them the underlying threat. They got the hint loud and clear. Naruto was her man until she's decided otherwise. Ino and Sakura then nodded yes and Hinata said, "Good, because if I see you trying to seduce my man, I'll stop both your hearts from beating with my gentle fist taijutsu. Have a nice day." And so with a newfound admiration for Naruto and Kurama taking notice, he then looked at Naruto and said, Naruto, remember how I said that your heritage could cause unwanted attention for you?" And Naruto said, "Yeah, I remember. You said that if anyone knew I had the wood release of the first Hokage, every single girl in the village would be, oh no, Kiba Inuzuka. I'm gonna kill you when I find you, you filthy rat. Where are you, you bastard?" Now you would think Naruto was going to be happy. He has more than just Hinata as his fangirls and would love to be adored and chased by beautiful girls his age. Sadly, Naruto only has his eyes on Hinata and Hinata only. The only way to have more girls around him without Hinata becoming jealous was by defeating Hinata in a close combat taijutsu only match. It's what they had agreed upon last night when enjoying each other's company. And in some strange way, he actually found it very attractive. 3 girls fighting over 1 boy. This, in Kurama's opinion at least, would become very interesting to watch. Sure, he'd still keep his promise and adopt Naruto as his own son and be overprotective of him a little. But that's just him as a parent. Naruto had already seen how mischievous Kurama could be and knew that he would play the 3 girls like a well-tuned piano. Oh, the amount of hell Naruto was in for and the large headache Hiruzen would later have when they got back to the Leaf Village. If they only knew how much attention Naruto was actually drawing to himself. Heads would be turning towards Naruto and Naruto would be using up shadow clones until his chakra ran out. But that doesn't mean he never had a backup plan for that very reason. The events that were about to unfold on the bridge would only make Kiba Inuzuka even more envious of Naruto. He just didn't know how much trouble he was in after Naruto got his hands on him.